And major developing news in this Thursday morning. Albuquerque police say 2 people are under arrest right now after shooting at police.
Yeah, this is going on right now. Apparently it all started overnight in southeast Albuquerque. Here's what we know about what happened. We heard that a suspect or suspects took a shot at Albuquerque detectives. It all got started around 1 o'clock this morning. APD was conducting some sort of a bait operation in southeast Albuquerque off of Sunport. When detectives arrived in an unmarked unit, they say they saw a car leave the area. They followed them. Police say somebody started shooting at them, then took off. Cops, as I mentioned, followed the suspects, coordinating with other law enforcement in the field. They stopped the vehicle near Washington and Silver Southeast. That's where we understand there is a scene right now. We understand the new police chief, Albuquerque's new police chief, is on scene as well. We are waiting for our reporter on scene to gather some more information. As soon as we learn more about what happened here, we'll be sure to bring it to you. Certainly a busy first day on the job for Albuquerque's new police chief, that is for sure. Yeah,
we're talking Gordon Eden here. He was sworn in just yesterday by Mayor R.J. Berry. He does have quite the law enforcement resume, as Eden was the state's public safety secretary and had been a U.S. Marshal for New Mexico and a state cop. Mr. Eden is taking over at a tumultuous time with the prospect of the Department of Justice forcing APD to make some serious changes. And yesterday, Mr. Eden said a priority was filling out the force the right way.
Our recruiting pool continues to get smaller and smaller, so we're going to be out there aggressively looking for the right people to come into public safety.
Gordon Eden also wants to look at the internal affairs process and the leadership roles in the police department. He replaces Alan Banks, who is taking a police chief job at a suburb of Austin, Texas. And yesterday, as you can imagine, was an emotional day for Mr. Banks as he stood on the steps of City Hall saying his farewell.
Proud of you guys. I look forward to coming back and visiting. I look forward to you guys coming out and visiting me.
Alan Banks is a native of Albuquerque. He was sent off by a big crowd there of officers and city workers, including the mayor.
And this is the man taking over Chief Eden's old job at the Department of Public Safety. Yesterday, the governor appointed Greg Fraut as the new DPS secretary. He's worked as a prosecutor in New Mexico for about 17 years and served as a U.S. attorney here for about 2 years. The new APD chief couldn't say if investigators will reopen the Ohlemacher murder case. On another note, one of the prime suspects, former loan officer Ronald Santiago, was found not guilty this week.
The Ohlemacher's family still believes there is much more to this case that has yet to be uncovered. Mr. Santiago was accused of killing Greg and Bernadette Ohlemacher 8 years ago. The Ohlemacher's family is angry and says the jury did not hear all the evidence, including the fact that Ronald Santiago had stolen from another couple. Santiago's attorney says he believes in his client's innocence. Meanwhile, there are still suspicions about the couple's daughter, Renee, who during the trial was painted as a possible suspect.
We did not alienate Renee. Renee alienated us. We wanted to help her find out who killed her mom and dad. There were just a lot of times where she just didn't show that she was scared, that she missed her mom and dad.
Renee now lives in Washington State. She left New Mexico shortly after getting her parents' life insurance money, which was about $500,000. Well, a volunteer reading tutor at a public school in Albuquerque is now charged with molesting a 5-year-old student. Robert Milne is accused of reaching under the table at a Trisco Elementary School and touching the boy inappropriately. Milne denies that happened. The criminal complaint says it happened in early January, but it took a while for the boy to tell anyone.
After several weeks of fighting with their son, trying to get him to go to school, trying to get him to disclose why he didn't want to go to school, he finally said, because of the stranger that touched me.
According to APS, Milne had volunteered at Trisco for a year and a half as part of the Albuquerque Reads program. Now, because the volunteers are always supervised, Milne did not go through a background check, but after the incident, APS did run one on him and says Milne would have passed.
Bernalillo County Commissioners have approved more funding to continue moving inmates out of the Metro Detention Center and into other facilities. The 3-2 vote will funnel more than $3.3 million into the program that transfers inmates to lockups in New Mexico and Texas. It's an effort to reduce overcrowding at MDC. Last year, MDC was housing more than 2,600 inmates. That's over 350, or that's about 350 over capacity, which, by the way, violates a federal lawsuit filed against the county almost 20 years ago. New Mexico Senator Tom Udall says the state is expected to be spared from most of the government's proposed military cuts. Udall says he hasn't seen anything to indicate White Sands Missile Range or New Mexico's 3 Air Force bases in danger. Earlier this week, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel suggested shrinking the Army to its smallest size since World War II.
State legislators may have solved the big problem that has stalled the long-planned redevelopment of the Winrock Mall. Several years ago, state and local leaders approved a deal to divert about $160 million in future tax dollars from the Winrock development back into public infrastructure at the site. But when the economy tanked, the mall overhaul was delayed and the money developers were counting on wasn't there. So legislators approved a bill last week that allows the tax deal to be reworked to put the project back on track.
This change will save the project. Without this change, I don't know that Winrock will ever be able to be redeveloped.
And Governor Susana Martinez still needs to sign off on the bill. If it is approved, Winrock's developer could move forward with building a parking structure and adding stores to the south side of the property. A few months ago, a new movie theater opened up at the Winrock. It's the IMAX, and new restaurants surrounding the mall itself are open and are being built. All right.